What's up guys, it's McNulty here. Welcome back to the channel. I hope you guys are all doing well. And today we have got some more toons in the portal. That's right, Costume Domitia or Toon Domitia has graced us with her presence, as well as the new toon for Colen. And we've got a new toon for this ugly looking Mama Jamma Skittleskull as well. And a couple of 3 stars in the portal. So we're definitely beefing this up. There's not too many toons left to go. But we're going to have a look at, obviously we're going to start with Domitia because we want to check her out and just see whether these toons are going to live up to the hype with all of the other toons that we've had released. And Domitia, I must say, she is one of my favorite heroes, one of the first 5 stars that I ever pulled in the game. And I used her for ages. She's just a fantastic all-rounder. So let's get into it. Let's have a look at this little lady. She looks really funny, to be fair, as a toon. So anyways, Domitia is of the rogue class. We know that gives her the chance to dodge, which is awesome. The classic family bonus, just as a quick recap, they get a bonus for fully ascended heroes, which is an increase for 1% to 7% on the attack, defense, and healing. And that can really come in to its own. I think the healing benefit is quite cool for some of these heroes as well, and it kind of goes amiss. The classic family bonus really does help the toons as well. Now, the costume bonuses, of course, they're absolutely staunch. We've got 40% on the attack and defense, 65% on HP, and a 5% mana bonus, which is awesome. They still have this super overpowered passive. I don't know if there are going to be any changes to that. I know they increased it from 50 to 75%. But to be honest, going up against these heroes in wars and raids, I do think that there's no real reason for them to have increased that back up to 75%. I think it was fine at 50% chance to resist the status elements, mana reductions, and buff dispels. Once you go anywhere above 50%, it just becomes overpowered. And that is the way it is. Now, moving on to the stats. If we just switch off the max power preview, we can see it's a team power of 1057. So definitely keeping pace with the rest of the heroes that are being released. I don't know why she keeps disappearing, but we'll just try and ignore that. So attack stat of 1054, defense of 939. And HP of 2149. So it makes these toons some of the most powerful heroes in the game at the moment. And I'm not sure if there's any creep in terms of the power, but I do just want to check that out just so that I know for my own reference whether these heroes are becoming more or less powerful, or whether they're staying about the same. So it looks like they're staying about the same because Vivica was one of the first toons released, and we can see her stats running a team power of 1056. So they are keeping things relatively slow in terms of the power creep, which is nice to see because that's one thing. If it goes too fast, it can just really frustrate a lot of people. Anyway, moving on to the special. So Domitia's special skill is called Toon Bolt. It was Shock Bolt, so no huge surprises there. She used to deal 440% damage to a single target running at average speed. She would give the caster and nearby allies 94% defense against Holy for the following 4 turns. And also she dispels buffs from the target and nearby. And to be honest, that's the main reason why I used Domitia for so long, is because of her dispel to the target nearby. Now in her primary costume, she switched things around, and she gets a cleanse for the target nearby, or for the caster and nearby, sorry. But then I would have Costume Rigard on the team, so that was never really an issue because they're both in the same element, both running at the same speed, and they do really work well next to each other. So just saying. Now in the Toon costume, she now deals 590% damage to the target. That is a humongous increase from 440 up to 590, especially with that humongous attack stat. And if you do manage to get second limit breaks on this hero, she's going to benefit from the attack up ether talent. So at the start of battle, her attack is going to be increased by 20% for 6 turns. So that's going to add on top of the 1414 that she's already got on her attack stat. And then she's going to be hitting for 590%. So as a single target snipe and kill, with her Toon costume, I don't think you can do much better than Domitia. The caster and nearby then get 64% defense against holy, so that has been decreased a little bit. Quite a bit, actually. It still lasts for 4 turns, though, but that isn't the most relevant part of the special. She does now deal extra damage against holy enemies as well. I believe extra damage, somebody said, is about an additional 50%, but somehow I struggle to believe that. Because, yeah, that's definitely going to kill pretty much any hero that you want to take up against her, to be fair. And then the dispel is still there, so dispelling buffs from the target nearby. So I love Domitia. Nothing has changed in that respect. I think she is an absolutely insane hero, and I think that her Toon costume is really, really going to be usable. I mean, especially because she hits so hard now, and she gets the dispel to the target nearby. Granted, the only thing I guess is that it's in the wrong order, because it isn't a priority dispel, but then that would be asking far too much for them to switch that around on what is an already excellent hero. She does also have another costume, which we shouldn't forget about, which is this one, where she deals 335% damage to the target nearby. So with the stat boost, that hit is going to be pretty damn hard. And then the target nearby get negative 64% defense against dark for 4 turns. Just makes her an excellent hero as part of a dark stack, and also extremely good against titans as well. And against holy characters, the status effect becomes uncleansable, and it lasts for 2 turns longer. The only thing that she doesn't get in this version of her costume is the dispel, but to be honest, you don't really need it if you're using her for that purpose. You could actually pair up a duplicate of Domitia. I think she'd work pretty well with herself. Maybe if you get the Toon version, level up the Toon version and then level this one up, and you'll just be having an absolute field day. So she's a great hero to start off with. She is featured alongside Azar, who we have had a look at before, so we're not going to have a look over him today. But who we are going to have a look at, and I'm really excited about, is this dude, Colen. Now, before we get into the special, there has been a bit of a nerf to this guy's special in some cases, so that is pretty interesting for him. But we'll go over him properly. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but we're going to do this pretty quickly. So he is a fighter, so he gets the chance to revive, same class as he was in his original costume. He gets the same family bonus for the classic family and a costume bonus, which is pretty decent. For the 4-star heroes, it's a slightly lower costume bonus, but at the 4-star level, these heroes are some of the highest powered heroes in the game, and that hasn't changed, so that is really good. And he also benefits from the Toon passive, which is the 75% chance. We've already been over that as well. Now, in terms of his stats, we're looking at 842, 650, and 1321. I always like to look at these heroes with the max power preview on, though. So if he's running a team power of 1019, that makes him very relevant, and you can take him in alongside some of your heaviest hitters in the 5 stars, especially they're much more powerful than some of the older heroes as well. Now, in terms of the special, his skill is running at slow speed, and it's called Tombstorm. It was Firestorm. And he used to deal 180% damage to all enemies, and all enemies would receive 534 burn damage over the following 6 turns. Now that burn damage actually was quite a bit, and it lasted for a long enough time to make it pretty impactful at the 4-star level, especially in tournaments and things like that. But now, as we can see, he deals 210% damage to all enemies, so he's dealing an increased amount of damage with a pretty good attack stat, which is awesome. But now they've changed it so that all enemies receive 243 burn damage over 3 turns. And that is with the limit breaks on. If you switch them off, it goes to 174 burn damage over 3 turns, which is absolutely nothing. So it seems like he's received a little bit of a nerf there in terms of the burn damage. I know it's lasting for less turns, but the whole point of it is that you want it to last for those 6 turns. I don't think they've done that with any other hero, and I'm sure there may be a reason behind it, but I don't think there's a very good one. If I'm totally honest, I think it should have been for 6 turns. And he deals extra damage against nature, which is pretty cool. And then I do like this costume, this one. where he deals additional damage to the target and nearby, so it's 285, and the target and nearby get negative defense against fire, 54% defense down against fire for 6 turns, and again extra damage against nature. So in this version, I would say that he is an absolute beast against Titans and in tournaments. I love him in the events as well. He's a brilliant hero for events. So yeah, just a great all-rounder. And the fact that he's running at slow speed really doesn't hurt this guy. I mean, here he was 240 damage to all enemies and 228 burn over 3 turns. So why you would pick that one over this one, because it's 210 to all and 174. Aside from the extra damage against nature, I just don't see the point. And potentially the class and the passive, but that's more effective on defense. So yeah, the point I'm trying to make is it's a weird little kind of nerf that they've thrown into the costume, and it hasn't gone unnoticed. But yeah, I do still think Colen is an absolutely amazing hero, so you cannot go wrong if you do manage to grab this costume from the Toon portal. Now, this ugly mofo, on the other hand, is just one of my least favorite heroes in the game. I didn't even level her initially, but even when she was powerful, I was like, I just don't want to level this hero because she just looks super creepy. And it is actually a she, despite what, this thing looks like. It's just absolutely ugly as anything. I think if anything, the Toon costumes probably made this hero a little bit easier to look at. Okay, so that's enough said about Skittleskull's looks. In terms of her skill, so she is of the nature family. She is a nature hero. She is of the sorcerer class, so she gets the chance to delay, so to reduce the mana generation for 2 turns after dealing damage. It doesn't really work very well with her because she's running at slow speed, but it does give you the advantage of being able to increase her because she gets a 4% mana node, but you're really not going to really bother with that too much on this hero. I do also like the mana boost on the ether talent. I just wish they would include it with some better heroes. I'm really going to knock Skittleskull today. I hate her. Okay, costume bonuses are going to be the same, so we won't go over that again. And the passive for the Toons as well. Now, in terms of the special, we're looking at Toon Vines for her. It was creeping vines, so she dealt 185% damage to all enemies, and all enemies got negative 34% attack for 6 turns. She now deals 215% damage to all enemies. All enemies get negative 24% attack for 3 turns, and she deals extra damage against ice. I mean, if you just compare her and Colen next to each other, you would rather have Colen all day long. Her costumes don't really give her a lot of extra versatility. I would say this secondary costume with the ailment immunity looks a bit nicer. 195% damage to all and a defense down for 6 turns. Probably the most usable version of the costumes for Skittleskull. But again, like I said, just one of the least exciting and enticing heroes in the game, for me at least personally. So commiserations if you do pull Skittleskull. But let me know if you do love her and you use her all the time. Obviously, I can be wrong. I admit it. I can be wrong. A lot of the time I'm wrong. Anyways, we do have a couple of new 3 stars in here as well. So let's not let them go amiss. So Bane is obviously one of the first heroes that you get when you start playing the game. You get him for free after you've started the game. And he's a pretty decent sniper, actually. 300% damage to the target and negative 35% accuracy for 4 turns. You can definitely use him for quite a long time. And he benefits now from the attack up ether talent, which is pretty decent as well. So a single target sniper running at fast speed. We're not going to go over the stats as much because they don't matter too much at the 3-star level. But when you do level up these Toons, you will find that they are a bit more powerful than a lot of the other heroes that you've got at the 3 stars. So that is reason enough to level them, especially if you're starting out and you're limited as to which other rare heroes you have. Now, he now deals 305 damage to the target, so only a 5% increase in the damage. It's a negative 30% accuracy, and you can see they've nerfed him as well for 2 turns rather than for 4. Again, I just don't understand the point of that. And extra damage against dark. So Bane is still a pretty decent single target sniper at the 3-star level. But that's about all I've got to say about Bane. He does his job, and he does it pretty all right. Now, the other 3-star that we've got in here is going to be Azar. So Azar is a pretty decent hero. She's got a huge mana cut, not quite as high as Guanju, the panda-looking mofo. But yeah, I do like this, and I do like this costume for her because she's running at fast speed. So it's 170 damage to the target nearby and mana reduction for the target nearby by 15%. But then if you want somebody who does it better, I would take Ribbit at the holy 3-star hero. So her special skill is at fast speed, as we've already said. It's called Toon Cut. She used to deal 280% damage to the target. She now deals 285. She used to reduce the mana by 25%. She now reduces it by 20. And she deals extra damage against nature. So aside from the Toon passive, I think at the 3-star level in the tournaments, that's really useful. I wouldn't necessarily use this costume for her. I would probably recommend leveling her up to use this costume because she is just better in this costume in every way. The damage, even though it's slightly lower, it is spread to the target nearby, which makes it slightly harder as an overall hit. And I think that's about all I've got to say about these heroes. There are some in here that I absolutely love. So I would say out of the new releases, Colen is definitely one to go for and get your hands on. So congrats if you manage to pull him. And of course, my lovely lady Domitia. She's an absolute gem of a hero still. So congrats if you do manage to get your hands on her as well. So yeah, I want to hear what you guys think. Please let me know in the comments what you think about the new costumes that we've got in the Toon portal. Also, please do drop us a like and subscribe to the channel as well if you don't want to miss any future videos. But until next time, I will see you all again in the next video. Bye for now.